Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Oh, I meant to turn this on here. Let's see. All right, there we go. All right. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is doing well. Let's see. I'm going to greet some peoples up in here. Kenneth Young, salute to you, brother. Appreciate you coming over. Rhonda Payne, good evening to you. And yes, please make sure you hit the like button on your way in. Yeah. So I did this new thing today. They got this new thing that's going on with the StreamYard where you can record in the portrait mode as well. So it looks like it created two different streams. So I don't know what's up with that. I don't know what's up with that. So I don't know. It's cold in my house. So somebody asked a question about the last show. I live alone, so I keep the temperature where I want it to be. Yes, I do have the money for it. And if I don't have the money for it to pay for the heating bill, y'all should help a brother out. It's been a while since I had my light on. Yeah, because I used to have it changing colors all the time, and then I think it drained the battery. So whatever. So anyway, I appreciate y'all coming over. Appreciate you that. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in if you're going to watch this in the future. Obviously, I'm going to have to delete one of these streams here. I don't know why it's doing the double stream there. I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, that's something new that StreamYard decided to do. So please make sure you hit the like button on your way in. This is my new setup here. I painted my room and my kids' room. I keep wanting to say my former kids. They're still my kids, even though they're like small. But one of their bedrooms. Sometimes you got to do that. Let them know you can't come back. You can't come back. Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So I ordered something. It's going to be one of my old badges. It's going to be a wood frame thing. So I'm going to put that over here where the blue thing is. And on the other wall, there's a wall over here to my right, to your, I guess it's left on the show here. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to put some more stuff over there, but you guys won't be able to see that. But this is my office. It is what it is. So yeah. All right. So I think we got a good show for us today. Somebody sent me, actually it was Nita that sent me something, and she's been on point. So we're going to check this out here, and we're going to talk a little bit about George Fraser. But before we get into that, I want to do a quick review of something that Anton Daniels done. I don't really follow him that much, but it was something I thought was good. He did a review, and there's this idea going around the internet about, red pill men and everybody's sick of them. And Melissa Ford chimed in on that. I guess she's sick of red pill men as well. I don't know or follow Melissa Ford that well. I couldn't tell you who she is. I guess she was on Joe Budden's podcast at one time on all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Good job on the wall. Thank you for that. AB Media, what's good, brother? How you doing? Hope all is well. John Will, evening to you. No black suede Jesus. No black suede Jesus over here, man. No black suede Jesus. So I did some major stuff that's going on in my house here. Again, I changed my kids' room, put down wood floors in here. Downstairs, I moved my office from downstairs to up here, and I am going to be I just bought an elliptical because wintertime coming. I don't like running outside, so I bought an elliptical. So I'm gonna keep my workouts going, And also, I like to pretty much stay upstairs during the wintertime because it's, the heat is upstairs and all that kind of stuff. So, uh, yeah. So you used to be in music videos. Okay. 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 Is this the same George Fraser who wrote the book "Successful Runs in Our Race"? I believe so. I got to be honest with you. I don't think. I haven't really. I just seen a couple of his videos. I have not read any of his work. I'm not very. I gotta admit, I'm not very familiar. But I think it's that one. I do know he's a public speaker. I do know that he's got a huge following, and I've watched a couple of his clips on YouTube. Excuse me, on Instagram, and one of them I'm going to play when he talks about the black family and all that. So, and he's in this video that I'm going to show is going to be big upping Kevin Samuels, which I thought was like, wow, okay, okay. So yeah, all right. So let's get into it here. So let me put this on the screen here. So first thing we're going to do is I met him back in the '90s in Washington D.C. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, he's obviously a senior man right now, but his sage wisdom and advice is always welcomed. So let me see here. So this is Charlemagne the God, I believe, had Melissa Ford on, and we're going to react to this a little bit here. So here we go. All right, let me change my background here. I made some changes to my background here. Put this up here. Put this on the screen. What is that? Okay. All right, here we go. All right. All right, so this is called "I'm Sick of Red-Pilled Men, Toxic Masculinity." Melissa Ford tells Charlemagne on modern podcasts. This comes from Room 9. And this, I guess it's the Anton Daniel. How many channels this dude got? I don't know. This dude got a ton of channels here, right? All right, so I'm going to make this a little bit smaller here. All right, so here we go. We're going to listen to a little bit of this. I'll speed it up a little bit. Claiming fair use here, but I don't think Anton has a problem with people doing this stuff. Anyway, he's doing someone of Charlemagne, so he can't say too much, right?
And so we're going to ask a couple questions, not long questions, but we're going to get into a couple questions. Let me know what your thoughts are.
You have the women empowerment part of your algorithm. A lot of the other side is going to filter itself in, and that's the gender war-y, masculinity versus femininity, whole rhetoric and stuff like that. And it does start to, kind of have an effect on you. I guess it's not that I don't believe that there is a huge swath of the male population that is interested in growth and evolution and their mental health. I absolutely believe that. I think that the ones that aren't, I think that the Manosphere, Red Pill Nation podcast bros, I think that they are so much louder.
But that's the loud minority a lot of times.
And then when you see the comments, well, not only that, I mean, when you read cases like Giselle.
So this is leading up to a bigger conversation, but I
don't want to get into all his stuff there. He can obviously go over to his channel and listen to him. But what do you think about what she said thus far, right? So she's tired of these dudes who, and listen, I have myself had to stand up for the Manosphere, Red Pill Bros, because, we're trying to get our message out, and you got to stay positive with that. Can't be dumping on people, etc. But you got to stay positive. You got to stay on your square. And a lot of people just simply don't like that. A lot of people simply don't like to hear that, men have desires, dreams, goals, ambitions. We're working on ourselves. We're doing the healing. We're doing the work that they want us to do. And when we're loud about now that we have expectations, because expectations comes with doing the work, then people don't want to hear that. And people don't want to hear that.
I'll just leave it there. And she basically went on to talk about men being misogynistic, or, they're not necessarily standing with women. And so I'm going to ask a general question, and then I'm going to deep dive a little bit further into my next question. But in a general sense, are women justified at being upset at the loud voices that's coming from the podcast bros? I'm not even, should I call on somebody, or anybody want to just jump?
Am I a podcast bro? I pretty much think I am, right?
Yeah, I'll call on somebody. I'm going to go with Kim. Kim and Gemini. Kim and Gemini likes to sit back, contemplate, ponder, listen, and observe. So I'm going to call on Kim. Kimmy?
Let's see here. Anyone that stands for men's interest will be demonized and shut down. Thank you for that, OP Seeker. Yeah, I mean, that's just the way that it is. It's unfortunate that we have to continue to advocate for ourselves. And when we do, oh, we're misogynistic, we're speaking too loud. How come you guys can't be quiet? How come you guys are speaking up so much? Just sit in your corners and just let the ladies take over the world. And this is going to become important as we get into George Fraser a little bit later on. Dr. Dunbar, what's good, brother? I enjoyed our conversation. Looking forward to having you on. Thank you so much for joining in. Sadly, there are so many grifters in the YouTube space. Yeah, I'm having a big problem with. I'm having a big problem with these grifters out here who are saying things that they don't mean, that they're not living by. I'm having a real problem with that. I'm having a real problem with that. So, Indigo Flow, what's good, brother? Salute to you.
Are women justified in being upset at the louder voices of the podcast bros, and that she is basically assessing that they don't necessarily stand with women? They're creating an environment that's not conducive for women.
I think that you find what you seek. And if that's what's in your algorithm, that's because that's what you put there. So they're only loud because you're listening. So no, I don't think you should be upset with them. Find the people who pander to the women and go with that.
I had a conversation just with someone the other day, telling them, listen, if you're mad at this type of stuff, then you should change your algorithms. You can put on your recommendations. Don't recommend this. Don't recommend that. You can absolutely put that on your recommendations. So, if you don't like this type of stuff, right? So don't get mad at people who are trying to help men improve. For so long, people have said men don't have mentors and guides and nobody's looking up to. And so now we're trying to be that voice. We're trying to be the voices of those crying in the wilderness, saying men need to improve, do the work, do the therapy, go to school, get your education, get a trade, build a skill, get in the gym, eat right, exercise, all this different stuff that men traditionally, that they have said that we have not been doing. It's debatable whether we've been doing that or not. But they said we haven't been doing it. Now we're doing it, and now it's an issue and a problem.
You chose this. You chose to listen to that. So deal.
I'm afraid to go to Q. Let me go with Q. Q.
What are you afraid?
Well, we'll see how it plays out. Is Melissa Ford justified at being upset at the loud voices that don't stand with women that's often coming from the podcast bros?
I think so, because I don't think the message is for all the bros, and all the bros be taking the message. Kind of like the whole, let's take Kevin Samuels. For the most part, he was talking about the head niggas in charge. And then you got all these broke niggas. Thought you can get what the head niggas fucking and get. And he like, I wasn't even talking to y'all. Y'all broke.
I would be so glad. I would be so glad when, I don't even know if this is a push, but it should be a push for us to just ban that word, that N word, just like every other word that can't be used. You should be demonetized when you're using that word. It's crazy to me that we don't stand behind that as a group of people. We're talking about self-improvement. We're talking about getting ourselves together. We're talking about advancement. We're talking about financial literacy. We're talking about education, and we're still using this word that was branded on us and put on us from so many years ago. And it's really, really disheartening. And for Anton Daniels to be this high-powered guru, and I guess in his own mind, whether he's a guru, whether he's really a millionaire, all the businesses he runs, he continues to let people use that word on his platform. It's just crazy to me.
Like, I think men probably like they have a hard time differentiating if his message is for us, because it ain't for everybody.
Okay.
So I get it. And then when you got talking points from somebody else and you don't have your own thoughts, and you're just talking, then there's that too.
Let me play a little bit more before I go to the next person.
Have you had more positive experiences with men than negative?
She kind of
That's a really good question. That's a really good question, because that will frame your way of thinking. If you think that more men, if the vast majority of the men that you run into, that you have selected to come into your life in a romantic way in particular, and they've let you down, they have dogged you out, they have spent your money, that you had to bail them out, they were cheaters, they were liars, they were everything else that everybody says, these negative aspects. and then you want to dump on the men who are telling you not to go around those men, and you want to dump on the men who are speaking out against those men. You want to dump on the men who are saying there's some good men out there, that we're on our game, on our grind. Then I guess that, or to tell women to say, or point the finger rightly at you and say, here's why you're so mad at men. Here's why you don't like the red pill space, because they're pointing out to you some of the flaws that you should have recognized years ago. That's a really good question that Charlemagne asked.
It's an interesting question. I have had extraordinarily fulfilling and have fulfilling platonic relationships with men. Absolutely.
So-
I have had not the greatest personal romantic relationships with men.
So based off that, you know that all men aren't terrible human beings.
So let's stop there. Because a little bit more of the context where she was talking about the whole narrative of women say, if I'm in the woods and a man that I don't know approached me in a bear, I'm choosing a bear.
All right, before we continue on that there comment, I appreciate this Indigo Flow. I appreciate it. Well, first let me say hello to Yoli, one of my mods. She's saying good evening, Dr. L, fellow mods in chat. I'm listening but not active participant. So I can't necessarily I don't necessarily think the word should be banned. I just hate how the gratuitous use of it. I hate how ubiquitous it has become. I guess an argument could be made. If we use it amongst ourselves at our cookouts and this, that, and the other. But at picnics, excuse me, not the picnics, cookouts, cookouts, picnics, same thing. But it's, I guess what you're saying is that if it wasn't in the movies, and it wasn't in every rap song, and if it wasn't every comedy clubs and all this type of stuff, comedy clubs where white people are sitting in the audience, on other races as well, would that be a better use, or could that be something that we just joke and gesture amongst ourselves? I guess an argument could be made for that. But that argument isn't that, but that thing doesn't exist. And so therefore I think it's got to be all or nothing. It's got to be all or nothing. Either everybody can use it or nobody can use it. And I would go on the side of nobody can use it, because of the hate and the harm and the hate and the harm that was always been associated with that word. I think I understand your point, and this is the point that I think other people have made that I've had conversations with. But the problem is it's not used solely amongst us. And these people, you got that guy, I never say his name, that guy NF on Rumble. He's constantly, he throws that word around, that 26-year-old white supremacist who's really got some Mexican blood in his veins. So he's constantly throwing that word around. So I just think that's where it becomes problematic. And I don't appreciate it, because if we use any other slur, if any other slur was used about the Italians or Mexicans or Jewish people or anyone else, you would be banned. Why are we the exception of it? Because we use it. So that's why it's going all around. That's why it's all over the place. So I just can't get with it. I just can't get that. What's the common denominator? Let's see here. What's the common denominator? That's the question. My cousin said she never known a faithful, honest man. Dad, brothers, uncles, cousins, etc. It's not always a mate. Well, then that would still be they're in a mating relationship. And I guess here's a question. Can you be a good father, cousin, uncle, show up, you get a flat tire, show up, coaching sports, but because the man is close some of these windows here, because the man is a cheater, or steps out, or has more than one family, on all this type of stuff, right? Does that make him a bad human being? Again, the question would have to go along with that is, are men really supposed to be in a monogamous relationship at all? Another point with that would be, if they're not supposed to be in a monogamous relationship, then don't say that you are. And that would make you a liar and a cheater. Things to think about. Things to think about. Let them have the bear. However, watch out for PETA. Okay. It can't be all at the same time celebrated in media and shunned at the personal level. It can't be at the same time celebrated in the media and shunned at the personal level. Yeah. You can't have it both ways. I definitely agree with that. You can't have it both ways. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Even amongst ourselves, some of us, it's used too gratuitously for my taste. In past generations, it was used sparingly and purposely to illustrate a point, as far as I can tell. I remember, and the first time I didn't know this, I probably didn't notice it as a kid, but I went back and watched some old Fred Sanford and Son clips, and he was using the word then in the 70s or the 70s or 80s, whenever that show was out. I think it was the 70s. So, we got to. So this is an interesting question here. Is this gratuitous use of it? This idea about who can use it. It was on TV. So why is that word so acceptable? And what is the indoctrination? What is the ingraining into our own mental psyches as Black folks that we would allow this? Again, this is going back to the 70s. Think about the 70s when Malcolm was Martin was killed in 68. Malcolm was killed in 65. So you think about that. We coming off the civil rights movement. Panthers are still fairly active, although they're being targeted by the man. And we get into this particular space, and now here we are coming up with these shows in the 70s, right? We get a couple of those shows. We get the Jeffersons, we get Sanford and Son, a couple of other Black shows, right? And they're using this word around. Even the Jeffersons use that as well. So we get these shows and it's indoctrinating us, teaching us, telling us, ingraining into our psyche that this word is acceptable. And nobody else has done that. Nobody else has done that. Certainly not to the levels that it's in our comedy and every rap song, and it's a staple, and it's these record executives are pushing this. How often do you segregate your people and speak about violence and speak about shooting police officers and shooting each other and this, that, and the other? So yeah. You guys are going. Let me see, get some comments here. Then N-word need to be banned from the language. Agreed. Highway 20, skinny. Salute to you. Banning the N-word only gives it more power. We've given it the power. We have given it the power. I mean, I don't know. Right. Sanford and Son was the first thing that came to mind, specifically the courtroom scene for nobody who remembers. Yeah. The Jeffersons, good times too. Yeah. You're probably right about good times. But I definitely remember them saying in the Jeffersons. So crazy. Let's keep going.
And then Charlemagne asked her, has she had mostly positive relationships with men? I'm gonna ask the question again, but I'm gonna pose it to Gary, then I'm gonna go to Lex. Are women justified at being upset at the voices that's being, used to amplify men's thoughts or the podcast bros' thoughts? Are women justified in being upset at the current state of things?
It's understandable. I don't know if it's justified, only because I think the same is happening with women. I think there's a minority of women who are being the loudest, that are like anti-men. So I feel like it's happening on both sides. So being upset, I don't know. I don't know if they're justified for being upset. It's frustrating, but
why is it frustrating?
Because for those women who are not the loud minority, who are like anti-men, it can sometimes be, and I mean frustrating, like kind of disheartening, because sometimes hearing men in the way that I'm guessing she's describing, it feels like they just don't like us. And who wants to feel like men don't like women? That just feels wrong. So that
it feels like men don't like y'all right now.
Yeah, sometimes when you listen to the conversation, it sounds like that.
Okay.
I can get that. I think a lot of women do feel, as when you listen to these podcasts, that men don't like women, and I don't think that that's the case. I think that there's a pushback against pushback against the entitlement, pushback against the way that a lot of women are acting, pushback against those types of things. But I don't know if they don't like women per se. But I could be wrong about that. I think a lot of times the men are acting out just as much as the ladies. I think a lot of men are acting out just as much as the ladies when they are saying and adopting the attitude that all women are this or all women are that. So I think we got to be careful about that. Yeah, y'all hit the like button. What's going on with that? Y'all hit the like button. Does anyone know what percentage of African Americans actually listen to podcasts? That's a good question. Let's Google that. I don't even know how they would tell. I don't think it's very high though. I would say probably. What did you say? Black men, African Americans. AI is saying approximately 57% of men. I put men in here. I'll go back to African Americans. Let me clean this up here. What percentage of African Americans listen to podcasts? Percentage of African Americans who listen to podcasts. Approximately 46 to 58% of African Americans are monthly podcast listeners, depending on the specific study and time frame, with Black listeners often listening more frequently than the national average. I wonder how many of that is pushed by the podcast bros and our gender war that's going on with women towards men and men toward women. A 2023 report found that 43% of Black adults listened to podcasts in the last month, which was higher than the overall U.S. population. Other recent data indicates that even higher engagement, with one study from July 2024 showing 47% of African Americans listening monthly, and another report from September 2025, 58% with monthly listeners. It's pretty high. All right, let's go to African American men. Let me make this more specific. How many men listen to podcasts? See if we can disaggregate this information here. While the specific overall percentage of African American men is not available, studies indicate that they are frequent podcast listeners, with men making up 52% of Black weekly podcast listeners demographic. Black men are also more likely to listen to sports and music podcasts than Black women. It's got some other stuff here. It doesn't have any sources. You got to be careful about this. This comes from Edison Research here. Let me read this. This is a good question. How many people listen to this? Y'all hit the like button. The Black Podcast Listener Report 2.0. And this comes from the Black Podcast Listener 2.0. Guess that's a report here. 2,500 plus online interviews of U.S. Black African Americans adults 18 plus, age 18 plus interviews conducted in September 2022. Data way to match age, sex, census region of the U.S. Black population in the Infinite Dial 2022 podcast listening statistics. Black monthly podcast listeners, 43% of Black Americans. Composition of monthly podcast listeners, U.S. monthly Black podcast listeners 18 plus, 52% were men, 48% were women. Black monthly podcast listeners 18 plus. Black monthly U.S. monthly podcast U.S. monthly podcast listeners 52% were men, and this is all listeners. But the Black listeners were 45% men and 55% women. So I will put. I don't know if I can put this. Let me see if I can put this in the. I'll put this in the chat here so you guys can open this up at your own time here. Copy link address copied. All right, let me see here. If you guys want to go over there and check that out. All right, let's see here. Where we at here? Hit the like button. There is a battle not only between Black men and Black women, but also between red pill, Black pill ministry and the blue pill and purple pill Black men. Yeah, that's definitely true. Greg Scotland, that's definitely true. There's a big war going on here. There's a big war going on here. Let's finish this out here.
I heard there a lot, like on some of these other panels, not so much over here, but like when there's women and men, like women always say, "Do y'all even like us?" That's what they say, and I get it.
And I get that if you're listening to people on the internet, but I don't think in real life anybody's walking around saying, "Well, I don't think men like women." I mean, they're showing you every day that they do. So again, it's a matter of seeing you shall find. You sought this stuff out. Like you don't have to hear this. And for her to say that she hasn't had good relationships with men, I mean, we're just not gonna talk about the fact that she was in the industry and the video vixen. I mean, I think that probably had a lot to do with
That's a
the way that the
good
men
point
relate
there,
to
right?
her.
That's a good.
So you can't.
That's a good point. You know, she was in the industry for all these years, showing your body, being in videos, whatever she was doing, and now you're going to complain years later that this is a problem, and you haven't met anybody who was real and serious and this, that, and the other. It's a good point. It's a real good point.
Discount that and make it seem like you're just this regular average everyday girl off the street. I don't think that her experiences were the same as everybody else's.
So you think that her past should also play a role in how men see her?
I didn't say it should play a role, but I think we would be remiss to think that it wouldn't. I mean, you earn a reputation regardless of whether or not it's true, just based on what you've done. And again, just we know how men judge women, and you put yourself out there to be judged that way, and then you're surprised at the results and surprised that these men treated you that way. I don't see her saying, "Oh, I also experienced, these elaborate dates or these amazing gifts." She's only talking about one side of what her experience was, and I don't think that's fair.
Lex, are women justified in being upset at amplified voices of men as voicing their concerns with relationships today? The podcast bros.
I don't think so. And I say that because I think it's self-defeating for women to have that mindset. I think that it shows an uncomfortable truth, these podcasts about women that they don't want to see, and it makes them have
Uncomfortable truth about themselves that they don't want to see.
to question or rewire everything that they were taught of how to show up in men. So men are not being blinded by the modern dating culture of things being transactional and the way women are pretty much behaving. I mean, not just that, I'm just throwing out random things. But I think that this was created and cultivated based on one man snapping out of what you call quote unquote matrix, the red pill, and like looking like, man, something's wrong. And people are like, and men, they're like, yeah. But I also agree with what Clinton said. Like, people like Kevin Samuels weren't even talking to all of y'all. But we can't ignore the fact that they don't have a right to get mad when they have podcasts all the time with women telling them how to get the coins and finesse men, and it throws everything off instead of somebody just having some type of self-mastery or showing up for themselves and work on self. Y'all want to get mad at other people for revealing y'all tactics. Stop it.
All right, I'm with that. I'm gonna come in semi last. Molly, do you think that Melissa Ford and women are justified at being upset at the amplified voices of these guys out here in these streets?
I think because it's Melissa Ford, I don't really take it as seriously coming from her because I don't believe she has any children. Is she married?
I don't think neither one.
So yeah, right. So women with those type of lifestyles, I don't really. What are you listening to it for? Are you trying? I don't understand if she's trying to take anything from it to maybe find a relationship.
She's saying, what do you listen to this type of stuff for? I would almost guarantee that what she is probably running into, Melissa Ford, that is probably running into is a lot of men who would have dated her who are now saying, I'm not going to date you. And that this is probably a growing phenomenon and problem amongst, let me change my background here, amongst a lot of different ladies, because they're running into men who they would have dated them a while ago, who are no longer dating them or seeing them as viable options because guys are saying don't date single moms. Guys are saying don't date women with high body counts. Don't date women who used to be in the industry, whether it's OnlyFans or whatever, or this, that, and the other, and hold out for more traditional type of women. And I think that the reason that Melissa Ford and probably others are very upset about that, because the guys who would have been in their DMs or been who they could circle back to at one particular time are not doing it anymore, and they would rather be alone, or they would rather travel overseas, or get a younger woman who's more compliant and pliable. That's what I think may be going on here.
Or something like that. If you're not, why do you care? And if you only care because it's affecting your self-esteem, why is your self-esteem wrapped up in what some men are saying online on a podcast? So I guess I think I just have an issue with her talking about this, because it's really not that serious. If you have an issue with what they're saying, don't listen to it. Just live in your echo chamber of women or pandering men who will sit there and say what women want to hear all day. Why hurting your feelings? I don't know. I guess I don't understand that. And if you're not the target, what you care for?
But she is a target. That's the problem.
I don't know. I don't know why women care.
Slim Dog Millionaire. Is Melissa Ford justified in being a little bit upset at the podcast bros?
I don't give a fuck about Melissa Ford, but I will do this. Newsflash for those that didn't understand. Kevin Samuels talked to men first. So he was talking to all men with his content at first. Now, when he started referencing the high value men, that's a different conversation. But he was holding men accountable. As far as this bimbo goes, Melissa Ford she a sad case. She is.
All right,
really-
so that right there was unnecessary. This is exactly what is making a lot of women upset. Is why she got to be a bimbo? Why she got to be all that? And I'm not saying you got to agree with what she's saying, but you start calling her names. This is what a lot of ladies are having an issue with, and this is where I think that the red pill space is too much. It's my opinion. It's my opinion. Why she got to be a bimbo?
A sad case. She's a feminist who doesn't want to own up to having one of the greatest runs at a whole phase in life, or what we can assume was a whole phase. She doesn't want to own up to that, and that's why she was treated by men a certain way. She probably got some good shit from it. I mean, she ended up being a successful hoe. That's another one who we can add to that list with Kim Kardashian and Amber Rose. She's a successful hoe. Like, she manages to stay relevant just because she was a hoe. Like, let's be real. She should not be talking. She got fired from another podcast. Like, why are we interviewing Melissa Ford? Why are we still talking to her? She's literally irrelevant. Joe Budden was out of his mind for making this woman relevant again, but he did it. Now she wants to fire back at men some way, somehow. She's still bitter. She's just a bitter woman. She's mad at men because she didn't get chose. She was nice looking, and she doesn't understand why. She's mad at herself because she doesn't understand why she's so beautiful, supposedly, and she doesn't have anybody except somebody who just want to smash. At the end of the day, dudes don't value her for her personality or her thoughts. They don't. Or she would be wed. She would be somebody's wife.
Do you think that she's too choosy, or do you think that dudes are too smart to get caught up? I'm too swift up on my toes to get caught up with you hoes.
Yeah. Yeah. Ain't nobody about to get caught up with Melissa Ford. Unless he's just like from another world, another country. He don't know who she is. He blinded by, what he sees, the exterior. Maybe maybe in that way, maybe she might get wiped up. I don't see how. But I think it's real crazy because the whole thing, let's eliminate Melissa Ford being upset about this, and let's just go to the average woman being upset about people on podcasts, men on podcasts voicing their opinion about women. I think it's sad that I know for a fact in the 90s that women started man bashing. This was a real thing in the 90s. It started in the 90s where women would get together and they would be talking shit about men. This is how they felt. I've never seen guys do that. I don't want to hang around guys that do that. Like, if all we're going to do is talk negative about women at a powwow or a brunch, I think that's kind of weird. But women do that. This is a thing for women. So now we fast forward years later, decades later, men are able to voice their opinion about women, and it's a problem. All on Sally Jesse Raphael, Ricky Lake. I don't know about Oprah, but all those talk shows that women had, and it was okay to talk crazy about men. This was a thing for talk shows. This was a thing, a real thing. And it was okay. It wasn't, you didn't see that kind of rhetoric on Geraldo. You didn't see that kind of rhetoric on men's talk shows. I can't think of the dude, Phil Donahue. You didn't see that kind of rhetoric on those shows. But now we fast forward, and when men have a voice, it's problematic. Now it's toxic masculinity and all these weird titles and labels. Was it toxic then when women was doing it? No, it was okay. It was publicized. And I think now maybe women should take heed and listen to what men are saying. And that way you can have better discernment on the type of guys you deal with. Because then you can discern who are the toxic men, who are the men that you should be with, and the ones you should stay far away from. Maybe that will help you on your journey.
I think that's part of the problem, is that what he's trying to get to is that's the issue. That's the issue, is that men are changing, voicing their opinions, and there's a lot of discomfort, dissatisfaction, dislike about that. So let's see here. Get to some of your comments here. I think placing responsibility on someone to make you happy is a problem. That's definitely true. Gregory Scotland, thank you so much for that. $10. Appreciate that. It tells me a lot about how a Black person responds to scholars like Dr. Kenneth Clark, Dr. E. Franklin Fraser, Daniel Pointerhan, Dr. Francis Francis Cress Welsing. It tells me a lot about you. Yeah, I think that those people had a lot to say, and they addressed a lot of issues, and came off as unpopular for whatever reason. So I certainly appreciate that, those individuals. Exactly. If they took the time to really listen to these women's stories, they know why they are who they are. It's sad. Yeah. So you've been dogged out, or allow yourself to be placed in certain positions, done certain things. And then when you get these different results, or you get used for your body, or you get used for your money or whatever, and you didn't listen to good, strong, sound advice, and now you want to tell your story, and now all men are this, and now you want to be mad and sad and all this kind of stuff. Nobody wants to hear that. A lot of guys now have grown up and said, we're not going to deal with that. And he's right. He was right to say that all these different talk shows, all these different types of things where people try to tell you, or where they were talking about men, there was no issues with it. And I remember watching that. I was a kid. I was like, man, coming home from school or whatever, like, man, this is crazy. Or watching Ricky Lake, and women would just say, these men are beneath us, and this, I can't find a good man, and this, that, and the other. These men are bums. They don't want to work. It's crazy. So, I do appreciate that, Gregory Scotland. Thank you so much. She's mad because she's been victimized her whole life. Yeah, and that's sad. That's sad. The unhappiness over men's channels is real. Some women have brought it up on dates. Oh man, I got to ask you about that when we go. we talk. We're gonna have big discussions. He was on my show. I was on his show. Excuse me. I was on his show, and we're gonna get together and talk about getting more men into STEM. Probably do that sometime in December. But I definitely got to remember to bring this up. This question here, bringing it up on dates. I've had ladies. Well, have I had ladies? I have had ladies question whether I have listened to Kevin Samuels and all that. So, yeah. Kevin Samuels' name also comes up socially at the strangest time for women. Listen, this man has been dead 3 years, almost 4, and in May, 3.5 years. And he is living rent free in these people's heads. He's living rent free. The women's talk shows on the 90s got rich off of bashing men. Yeah. But they don't see it that way. They just think that they were telling the truth. But our truth somehow is not the truth. It's just our opinion, and we're man bashing. We're a bunch of misogynists. But were they misandrous when they were doing what they were doing? All right, so let's get into George Fraser, and this is a clip of him. This is a clip of him that I'm going to play. But before I get into that, I wanted to play a clip of him speaking about the need to fix the families. Let's go to Instagram here. Okay. This is George Fraser, main event for the night. He's going to speak about fixing the families. This is the clip we're going to play first here. Is this on the screen? What's up with this? All right, here we go. I don't know why that's doing that.
Which is the existential crisis of the Black family. The existential crisis of the Black family. Marriage in our culture is down to 34%. When we were growing up, it was 85%, is now down to 34%. 71% of our sisters are not married, 29% will never get married, 63% of our brothers are not married, 30% of them will never get married. There is no culture in the history of humankind that has risen to maximize their full human potential without family at the center of their culture. This only exists. This is an interesting but negative statistic. This phenomenon of the existential crisis of our family only exists among African American Black people. It does not exist on the continent or anywhere else in the diaspora. So there must be something in the water. We must fix this. It is a lot easier said than done because it is impacting our wealth. Quick statistics. For 350 years, household median income was dominated by white people. They were number one in this country. They no longer are number one, they're number three, and there's a reason for it. So who has the highest household median wealth in America? It's East Indians, $104,000 a year. What's the marriage rate in the East Indian culture? 94%, two are working. Who's number two? Chinese Asians. Household median income, $110,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. Number three are white people. Household median income, $88,000 a year. What's the marriage rate? Almost 50%. Down significantly. Number four are Hispanics. Household median income, $61,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. We are at the bottom. Household median income, $55,000 a year. Marriage rate, 34%. And projected based on facts and statistics that if we do not fix this, because white folks ain't fixing this, our marriage rate will be in the low teens in the next 20 years. We must, this is an enormous challenge. That's a whole talk by itself on how do we fix it. It can be fixed, but we have to, first of all, understand that this is a problem. No one's talking about this problem. This is a huge problem. It's the number one problem in our culture. So we must fix it. Oh, there's a talk I give on the 5.
So that's on Instagram. I don't know. I think I can copy here. I'll put this in. I think this is important enough for you guys to be able to go into the chat and watch this and save it to your platforms there or whatever, or be able to access it, I should say. So I'll put this in the chat as well. I think that's important for all of us to be able to understand the dire straits that we are in, given this circumstance, and that's why I do a lot of what I do and talk about a lot of what I talk about, because I care, and and this is a problem. What does that look like for our children? What does that look like for our grandchildren? What does that look like for the continuance of us? So let's see, get to some comments here. I guess some men are walking around calling themselves high value men. I think the men are probably starting to recognize their worth, their value, that knowing that they have a job, that they're making fairly decent money. I think that Kevin Samuels set his target for money at too high, 110,000 a month, 110,000 a year, or 10,000 a month, which would be 120,000 a year. I think, like, if you're making 85,000, you're a single guy making 85,000, you don't have any kids. If you're making, shoot, really, if you're making like 60 grand, if you're a guy, you don't have any kids, you can really live a good life. You don't have any kids, you got a bachelor's degree, you got a skill, a trade, you got something that's reliable. Why are you not high value? Why are you not high value? Certainly you may not get invited to the mayor's ball or whatever, but you're still doing what you got to do. You're still making things work, so I don't know. I mean, that's certainly something we can talk about. But yeah, I think a lot of men are recognizing their value, recognizing that they don't have to put up with a lot of stuff that their grandfathers put up with, a lot of things that their fathers put up with, and they know that they can have a decent woman on their arms. And while it may hurt and be harmful to the egos of some ladies, you don't have to. A guy who's making 60 grand a year, who's got no kids, let's just say he's 30 years old, still on his upward climb as far as financial momentum. Why should he take a woman with kids? Kids. I'm not saying that if a woman comes to him she's absolutely stunning and gorgeous and beautiful, she has a child, maybe he would take her. But why does he have to do that? And guys are waking up and saying, I don't have to do that anymore. Guys are waking up and saying, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to take a woman with kids. I don't have to take a woman's attitude. I don't have to take all this nonsense. Particularly now that we got these blue books and we got airplanes. I don't have to deal with that anymore. So rather than ask about Kevin, test a black woman and ask her what is her opinion of the Moynihan report, passport bros, or her concept of black male leadership. I'm gonna tell you that those last two are gonna get you cancer real quick. They're gonna get you cancer real quick. Thank you for that. Again, $10, Gregory Scotland. I appreciate that. Yeah. Most ladies that I've run into don't know much about the Moynihan report, but you ask them, and a lot of them have never heard of the passport bros. But I've run into a lot of ladies who don't know about this particular space. That's just me. It's anecdotal, but they definitely would have a conversation about black male leadership. That definitely would be that. Jeff James, I assume, posted a clip of Dr. Fraser discussing how many black women today would rather be a baby mama than wives. He got red pilled at some point. I think that's the video I'm going to play next. Honestly, it may be. Somebody sent this to me today, so I think it may be the same video because I'm going to play something and he's going to say that. Thanks again for your support. Welcome, Misty. Productive black men move on and build for your own purpose. Yeah, well, I definitely agree with that. I watched the video of his earlier today. This may be the video I'm going to play next. Families like mine never discuss the marriage wealth connection. What matters. That's true. That was never a discussion. We never really had it in church. According to church doctrine, right? The more you give, the more you're going to get, right? You got to, the bigger your seed that you're going to plant, the bigger your blessings going to get on the back end, right? The more you sow, the more you're going to reap, and all this kind of stuff, right? But family planning, financial literacy, saving money, all this type of stuff. And I can remember, like, sometimes you have to work your way into the inner circle. Here's some game for you guys. Sometimes you have to work your way into the inner circle. So once I started to get into the inner circles of the church where I was a deacon and a minister and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I was a deacon and a minister and all that, right? So, and then I start to hear different types of talking, right? They start talking about how the church had a CD, right? A certificate of deposit, right? So they had all this different financial stuff that was going on. This stuff had never come. These conversations were had in the meetings that we're having about, where the church is going and the financial stability of the church and all this kind of stuff, right? The heads or the leaders of the heads and the leaders of the church. But this conversation about certificates of deposits and other forms of finances was never discussed over the pulpit, right? You go out there and get yourself a CD and this, that, and the other. The speech that came across the the pulpit was pay your tithes and God will bless you. But meanwhile, the leadership was engaged in so-called secular or worldly finances and all this, and they were pretty literate about that. And I can remember now why it struck me so hard, it struck me so much as a CD, because when my grandparents had passed, particularly my grandfather, right? So I heard, I was a young guy, but I can remember them talking about him having CDs, certificates of deposit. And my grandmother also told me about this. Have, get yourself a little bit of this and that, and we'll do this. So there was a little bit of financial literacy that I had heard, and they were telling me about, even though I was, I was a young guy, 16, 17, not really paying attention to that much. But then when I started to hear this more in the church, right, I'm like, wow, okay, so my grandparents were trying to put me onto some game. My church was not putting me onto this same line of game. What's up with that? So I started to see it started to have some breaks, some cracks to me, that why aren't you telling the people in the stand? I want to say stands. Why aren't you telling people in the pews this? Well, I think that they don't tell them that a lot of times is because if you take 10%, we were a tithe paying church. If you take 10% of your money, you would put the people in a real financial strain, because you had to, first of all, you got to convince them to get 10% of their income, weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, whatever. So if they're going to do that, then you want them to give a little bit of extra. I mean, how much or more would they have to put into a CD or to a trust, or into stocks, bonds, whatever else, all this other stuff, right? So they just want to keep them. Here's what you live off of 90%. And then you give the 10% to the church. I did hear one time one preacher say you should live off of 80% of your income. 80% goes to whatever your bills, 10% goes to the church, and then 10% goes to your own savings. So that is one philosophy that was out there. So let's take that for what it's worth. I think, you live off of 80%, 20% goes into your savings. That's what I would recommend. Or maybe try to live off 70%, 20% goes to savings, and then 10% you play around with as far as going on trips, vacations, and etc. But I'm no financial guru. Let's see here. What else? Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, was trying to bring Black men and Black women together. Unfortunately, his message wasn't received by Black women. Yeah, that's true. All right, everything can begin now. October's here. Thank you so much for coming. I like the call in the background, Dr. Good choice. Oh, I appreciate that. A lot of people have been very complimentary. I appreciate that. Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you. Somebody said it looks warm and inviting. Yeah. I plan to do some more painting in my house. Whether I do it myself, I don't know. Let's see. What a man. What's up? October, I came late too, just a few minutes ago. Good evening, chat. Let's see who else. People greeting each other. Appreciate y'all coming in. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the like button. I separate widows from baby mamas. Yeah, widows and probably even divorced people too, right? If you're going to talk about people with children with mothers with kids, right? That would be different. I heard both. Yeah, many Black women hate Daniel Moynihan. Yeah. There are content creators who are encouraging men to stay single and to stack their bread. Also, the MGTOW movement is growing rapidly. That's true. This is a growing trend, and ladies are saying it too. To be honest and fair, a lot of ladies are saying it too, but a lot of men are saying, "Nah, listen, this ain't it." Particularly when we talk about the attitudes, the amount of money you have to kick out. Right? I read a report that said between a man who's a single man a man who's single, right, can save between $5,000 and $12,000 a year by not dating, right? He's not taking women out to eat, not going to the movies, etc. So you can save that money and just travel and just have a good time. Something to think about. Dr. L, I didn't know about the passport bros until I ran across your channel. Yeah, a lot of women don't know about that. A lot of women don't know about it. So I did I told you guys I do some work for lawyers one time. So I had a deposition. About a month ago now. I got to submit that invoice. I don't know. I forgot to do that. So And so the lady, it was so you get interviewed by a lawyer, and she's digging through my my background, my history, and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, so she found me on Medium too, right? So they look you all up, who is this guy, right? What's he written about? What's he doing, right? So she came across these channels, and mostly she focused on my other channel, the police related channel. And but she's like, you're on Medium, and what's this red pill space? What's this manosphere? What is that? So she hadn't heard about it either. So I had to explain to her what that was. It wasn't pertinent to the case we were working on, but she just wanted to know who this guy was. So my point is, a lot of people still don't know about him. This was a lawyer who didn't know about it. She was from the Midwest. I'm not too familiar with the Moynihan Report, but I do remember Chaos briefly referring to it times during a show. The Moynihan Report is available online. It's not a long read. You can read it in an hour. It's 70 pages, but it's not really truly 70 pages. It's got a bunch of charts and graphs and stuff in it. I had thought about doing it, but so many other people had read through it. I mean, you can Google Moynihan Report on YouTube and watch a bunch of other people review it, read through it. I've often mentioned BGS Igmore. He has read through it. I can do it if you guys want, but if you guys want, we can do a show about that. But it's been done a number of times. So let's see. I became a passport brother while I was in the military. Just didn't know I was at the time. Yeah, I think a lot of brothers do. Yeah. Let's see. How did that work out for you? Let's see. I got valuable information by allowing myself to be exposed to a broad array of people. My father taught me how to associate with guys that were saying something meaningful. That's an important thing to get in life, and my son recognized that when he was in the military, because when he went to the military, he didn't call me up, and he was like, "Listen, Dad, I don't, you wouldn't believe, like he was very prepared, when he went there, and he was 17 when he went there, and he turned 18 when he was in boot camp." And but he would call me up, and he would be in the boot camp. They don't call it that, whatever they call it, the Air Force, whatever they call their boot camp. And he said that these guys were 26, 27, 28 years old, but he had more life experience and more knowledge and more wisdom. And he was like, I never really thought about having a dad in my life, and that was so important because these guys are so much older than me, but yet they're asking me questions and this, that, and the other. So I was like, yeah, okay, it matters. Having a father matters. And so when he started hanging around a lot of people who were older than him, they're sergeants and this, that, and the other, and he got turned on to Robin Hood and turned on to stocks and all this different type of stuff, and he grew to love it. He tells me about that kind of stuff all the time. He is my guru. He's like, he calls me, sends me text messages. Hey, you checked out this stock, you done that. So it's good to have a good tent of people, of mature men around you. To Gregory Scotland's point, thanks again for that $10. To that point, it's important to have a broad range of people, because I'm not a stock person, but if he can get with someone who knows about that, and you get with someone else who knows how to fix cars, you get with someone else who knows how to do computers, right? You've got this wheelhouse around you, and that's why you got to become valuable too. That was part of Kevin's point about being not a passport bro, about being a high value man. High value men have something to offer to the group. High value men have something to offer to the group, right? So and if you don't have anything to offer, then you become useless. It's sad to say, but you become useless, right? So you got to develop something, whether it's knowledge about stocks, whether it's knowledge about how to paint, woodworking, how to fix things around your house, plumbing, how to something to do with cars. You could listen. Somebody just called me up tonight because they wanted my a professional opinion about how to deal with a bad instructor at a college, right? You can call me up about police related type of things. You got to become valuable to the group. You got to become valuable to the group, and that's some of the ideas about becoming high value. So the principle of the double tie, 10% to your saving, double, and 10% to the church. Yeah. Yeah, that was a new principle. That I didn't grow up with that. That's a new principle. Why you skimmed over my arrival? You announced yourself there, October. What's up, what a man? I don't fault the passport bros. Well, it's good that you don't. It's good that you don't. But what I mean, I hope that the ladies really do something about that. I really hope that they take stock and really take assessment about what's going on with them, and then say to themselves, we need to do better. You know, we were running good men out the country because you know that they're good men. They may not be physically appeasing. Some of them, I've seen them too. Like, oh man, this dude needs to get in the gym, or he needs to get a skin routine or whatever, right? But they're still good men. They're still viable. They're still viable as far as economically. So get them in the gym. If the black white wife effect works on white men, why won't it work on black men? Get in the gym, eat right. We can get you a skin routine. We're gonna get your teeth fixed. We're gonna shave all your hair off because you're in a struggle with your hair, right? So I just fix that dude, right? So and again, a lot of it is that they don't want to deal with the culture of the black women that they're running into. And just like we're dumping on Melissa Ford a little bit, saying that she's running into too many pookies or too many people who weren't taking her seriously. You got to take stock of that, and we got to take stock of the men too, right? The men and the women got to take stock of ourselves and say, what is it that we're doing or not doing that we should be doing in order to improve ourselves? So, and particularly for the women, if you know the women that you hang out with are loud, abrasive, they're rude, they're disrespectful to men, they don't believe in male authority, they don't believe in male headship of the household, they just want to dump on people. They get off on embarrassing men. They don't, what are we going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? You have to have real conversations. You have to have real conversations amongst yourselves as ladies in order to create some type of game plan to improve this craziness going on, because you're running good men off. You're running good, and if they're going overseas and getting wives, girlfriends, whether they bring them back here or whether they stay over there, then that's all the more less for you. So you really got to have a conversation amongst yourselves about doing something about that. When I stopped focusing a lot on women, I became completely debt free. Yeah, bro. Listen, you can pay off some bills. You can pay off some bills when you're not going on dates. I'll never forget one time I was newly divorced, so I was going. I was having some fun, but I looked at my bank account when I had spent $1,000. I spent $1,000. I'm like, in a month, just on dating. Dating here, going to ice cream there, going to bowling there. Never again. I'm like, no, never again. The passport thing was big in the 90s with black men going to Brazil. I think they're still going, and I don't think they're just talking about it too much. And that's another thing too. You brothers out there got to learn to keep your mouth shut. You guys talk too much. Especially young guys, these 20-year-olds, 20, 30-year-olds, these you guys talked, Austin Holloman, you guys talk too much. Real G's move in silence like lasagna. Y'all need to understand that principle. Gregory Scotland, again, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Especially having a father who has game plan and can give you great guidance. I didn't bring many women to my house, but when I did, my father would ask certain questions to size them up if they were phony or not. Oh yeah, Dad's gonna do that. We're gonna ask the questions. Oh yeah, we're gonna ask the question. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, get the likes up. Where my likes at? Get the likes up. It's important. It's important to get more people engaged in here. We have great conversations. I think you guys are, as an audience, are always engaging. I appreciate it. So let's get some more people in here. So make sure you hit the like button. Good women are somewhere being good women. So as a good woman, a good man will find me without a passport. Good women are somewhere being good women. Well, we got to figure out where that good place is so we can all hook up together. We got to hook up together. That's a testimony, debt free. I was dropping some serious dough. You're right about that, Rhonda. I was. I was. I mean, but and here's why guys are talking about 50-50 now. And here's why guys are talking about take me out on dates. As repulsive as that is to ladies, this is why, because I spent $1,000. And listen, I never asked a woman to pay. Never. I took you out. We're gonna do whatever. We have a good time. We're gonna go-kart racing, doing all this stuff. I pay for everything. Very rarely a lady would say, "Oh, listen, I picked up you picked up the movie, so I'll pick up the pizza," or I paid for the movie. she would buy the popcorn. It was rare. It was rare that would happen. It would happen sometimes, but again, this is why guys we're talking about this now, because they don't want to be taken. Now, I did all that, and I'll put this nicely here. The end of the night was very. I was rewarded, but if you do all that and you're not getting rewarded, you're not gonna do that. And I was having fun, but I can see guys who's just saying, no, I'm not doing that anymore because I want something serious. And if you're not serious, then I'm not going to spend that. And if we're both not serious, we're not looking for anything serious, why I got to spend that? Why can't we just order a pizza and just have a night at my house? So this is something people have to figure out from jump. So yeah, dates add up. Absolutely. Consider becoming a member of the channel. For access to exclusive member content, click the join button on the homepage for more information. I do plan to drop an episode either tomorrow or Friday for the members only. So yes, thank you for that. My father and brother checked everyone. Yeah, that's their job. That's their job. All right, so let's get into, let's put up here, remove this here. All right, let's get to the main event for the night here. Okay, here we go. So this comes from I Never Knew TV, pretty sizable channel here. This is a clip of our overall podcast. The rest of it is not on YouTube, so you have to become a member of their channel in order to get full access to everything that they have going on. So again, it's Dr. George Fraser on why this topic makes me so. Dr. George Fraser on why this topic makes so many black people get angry. Who named this? Why do you got this complicated name here? Dr. George Fraser on why this topic makes so many black people get angry and defensive. And that is not passing the algorithm check. I could tell you that right now. That all right. So he's going to talk a little bit about this. So let's get into it here. Speed it up a little bit.
Our women have become more masculine, and our men have become more feminine. So we have a real cultural confusion.
Join the movement. Listen to the legendary author and speaker, Dr. George Fraser, give a masterclass on how to network, sustaining a marriage, and achieving your goals. Watch the full exclusive ad-free reasoning now, only on www.inevernewtv.com premium.
All right, you've spoken numerous times.
So listen, I take issue. I'm going to say this as respectful as I can. I don't know what he said in a particular interview, but I take umbrage with people who've been married for 40, 50 years because it's a different environment. The things that worked are not going to work, right? So I know I have friends who are married for 30 years, and one of them confessed to me that if he had to get married today, he couldn't do it. Now, we got married when we were in our 20s. He is still married, and he's about 50. Yeah, he's 50 now. So he's been married. He's been married for 29 years. I have another friend who's been married for 30 years. Both of them have admitted that if they had to get married in this day and time, that they would not be married. And so I appreciate everyone who's ever come and said, here's how we made it. But the environment has changed so much. The environment has changed so much that it's almost impossible to do that. I'm saying it can be done, but it's an uphill battle.
It's about the decline of the black family, right? And we had this conversation. Depending on the space that you're in, right? People seem to get very defensive, both men and women, when you speak about the black family. Now, the question I have is, it's such an integral part of our future progress and growth. Why is it such a touchy subject for people?
Yeah.
Why do you believe, like, on your experience? I know you've been cussed out a lot in public already. You had to.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I know you've been cussed out a lot.
I had.
Why do people get so offended when speaking about the importance of the black family?
I'm going to quote Malcolm X. Malcolm said, Malcolm was a fiery and aggressive speaker, and he would tell his audience, if I throw a brick and it hits you, it was meant for you.
I went to a church service one time. We were in Chicago, and this preacher said, if I He said, I didn't come here aiming at anybody, but if I hit you, I declare I didn't mean to miss you. And the whole place went up. So it erupted in laughter and cheer and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely understand what he's saying, right? If you get offended by the things I'm saying, if you get offended by the things I'm about to say, then I was talking to you.
Because the truth hurts. It hurts. It does. But we cannot get around facts and statistics. All I'm doing is saying facts and statistics. It's not my opinion. My opinion is based on facts and statistics. And God bless Kevin Samuels. He was talking about it years ago and dealing with the issue of Black marriage and what was preventing it and why was it all falling apart. So I decided, I was an avid fan of Kevin Samuels, and I just said, well, there probably needs to be a book written about this. Just as I thought that there needed to be a book written about effective networking and the power of the human connection. And what did I do? I disciplined myself, took my thoughts out of my head and put them on paper, which is what more of us should do. That's a whole nother subject. It's another admonishment I give our people. And I tell them, write your damn story. Because 100 years from now, your great-great-grandchildren can go to their library in their home and pull out a book that has their great-great-grandparents' thoughts and story and how they overcame this or that. So I decided 3 years ago to begin deeper research, update the research from Kevin Samuels, because all that he has predicted has come true.
Kevin Samuels said the winter is coming. Like the Game of Thrones, winter is coming and winter is here. And coincidentally, Dr. Dunbar asked me that question, why am I doing what I'm doing? A lot of it, I said the same thing, right? To preserve something from my legacy, right? I don't write down stuff in a journal, which is what Dr. Fraser said he did. But this is important, right? To get this information out there. So imagine if Kevin Samuels never had done and said what he did and said. Imagine if he sat on his talents. Imagine if he never put it on either pen or on wax, as they used to say back in the days, or just put it out there, right? A lot of people are sitting on their talents, sitting on information that is so vital to other people. They say that every one of us can write a book. So put it down, get it out there. You have a set of skills. Make sure you get it out there.
The demise of marriage and thus the Black family. And so we needed something in writing that was a podcast, a very, very popular podcast, but we needed a book, something that we could reference, just as Success Runs in Our Race. Although it's 35 years old, you can still purchase a copy on Amazon. It still sells 10,000 copies a year because the subject is evergreen. And the importance of family and marriage will be an evergreen topic. And the statistics on family and marriage are not good. Black marriage today is at 23%. Divorce rates are at 75%, and 71% of Black women are not married, and 29% of them will never get married, according to facts and statistics. 66% of Black men are not married, and 34% of Black men will never get married. It's exacerbated by two other devastating statistics, and that's nearly 80% of our children are born out of wedlock, and 70%, I'm sorry, not 80%, 70% are born out of wedlock, and 80% are raised in a single parent household. This is devastating. It appears to me, based on facts and statistics, and I get a lot of kickback and hate when I say this, that it appears to me that our women would rather have a baby than be a wife.
We gotta play that one again.
It's devastating because without couples, you have no families. Without families, you have a parent household. This is devastating. It appears to me, based on facts and statistics, and I get a lot of kickback and hate when I say this, that it appears to me that our women would rather have a baby than be a wife. So it's devastating because without couples, you have no families. Without families, you have no community. Without community, you have no tradition. Without tradition, you have no culture. And without culture, you have no future. And without a future, you have extinction. And the facts and statistics on what marriage will look like within 2 generations, it's less than 10%. It was 38% when Kevin Samuels was talking about it. It's 23% now. And if we don't fix it and change it, it will be less than 10%. Here's another devastating statistic about 10% of us being married within 2 generations. 45% of the Black men who will be married, of the 10%, will be married to white women.
Oh man, let's play that one again.
It will be less than 10%. Here's another devastating statistic about 10% of us being married within 2 generations. 45% of the Black men who will be married, of the 10%, will be married to white women.
So it would be roughly a 10% marital rate. Of those 10% who are married, 45% of them will be married to white women. That's what he said. God, dog. God, dog. These statistics are devastating. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Minister Misty said winter sure is coming, and these arguments to women better straighten up fast. They don't care about it. You have to change the environment. You have to change, because as long as they got their college educations, as long as they got their boxed wine, as long as they can get a baby, as long as they can, get some government subsidies, they don't care. They don't care. They do not care. Rhonda says, I've heard from several women they want a baby, don't care about having a husband. Crazy. Welcome, brother. Appreciate you joining. He's doing some good work. I got to check out that interview with you and Dr. Tia Son Johnson. I didn't get a chance to check it out today, but I definitely will get to it. Anyone getting an influx of Timu and ad interruptions? No, you got to pay for this. You got to pay. I got to pay for this. Let's see here. Let's see. Ask a brother. Yeah. The community is toast. This is sad. This is sad. Man and woman and children as a family take that, BLM. I can't tell you how many men tried to clown me because I said the reason I didn't have children was because I wasn't married. You don't need to be married to have kids. Yes, I do. Well, you held your ground. I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you did. And shame on the men for saying that. Listen, a lot of men got to be talked out of this nonsense too. A lot of men got to be talked out of this nonsense. Now, there's financial reasons and all this type of stuff. I'm trying to think if I saved this video. All this different type of stuff. If I think if they being the government, fix a lot of disincentives for men, 50-50 custody and et cetera. If things go badly, then I think you would see more men sign up for that. Yeah. A lot of men got to change the way that they think now too. It is respectable. We need to come together somewhere, somehow. We need to come together somehow, Jen Will. Listen, this, this present presidential administration should be having Black men run into the arms of Black women and Black women running into the arms of Black men. We are seeing such a time as, we got this, a bunch of racist, crazy people in the White House, Stephen Miller. We got, the mass deportations, and we're still having this gender war. Sometimes, I need to really get into my other channel there a little bit more, but just talk about this, because this is a problem where everybody else is coming together. There was an article written on CNN about the Indians, East Indian people, understanding now that they were never the golden children that they thought that they were. You get Kash Patel, Nikki Haley, who's a couple other people I'm forgetting. Dinesh D'Souza, a couple other people are recognizing now that, like JD Vance's wife, all getting heat from these MAGA cultists, and telling them to go back to their country. We don't want them here, and this, that, and the other. And our people need to take those types of cues and clues and say to ourselves, we need to band together to stand strong. We need to band together and stand strong, because once they deport a bunch of Hispanic people and they turn their ire to those who are making the most money, as George said in the Dr. Fraser, I should say, said in the previous video clip we played, eventually it'll come around to us. You can bet that for sure. Eventually it's going to come around to us. So Vivek, yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy, yeah. And what Ann Coulter told her to his face, listen, you talk good, but I'll never vote for you to be president because you're Indian. Never vote for you because you're Indian. It's crazy. Tell him to his face. This dude went into a bunch of town halls, and they're asking him at a what's that? Not APEC. The Turning Point USA feature. They told him to his face, listen, you pray to a different God and all this kind of stuff. They don't want to hear that. These people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. We're afraid of being hurt, not looking at the bigger picture. Well, that's the point. They start watering down our numbers, and look at what with this administration and the Supreme Court rulings that are coming down. They're talking about gutting Section 2 of the Civil Rights Act and all this other stuff that they're doing. They're trying to eliminate any type of power that we have already, and we got to recognize their strength in numbers. And before we build quote unquote black and brown coalitions, we got to build black coalitions first, and that's the family unit. It's crazy we don't see that. It's crazy that we don't see that. I grew up without my father in a home, and I hated it. Why would I or anyone want to revisit that on their offspring? Yeah, no, listen, I agree with you. I definitely had to be around for my kids. We will only come together only if the black community has a complete recession that we can't reset. Sad to say. I don't know what it's going to take. Some people have said that this is the whole winter is coming or here talk. I mean, it's not happening so far, right? Prices have gone up. Thanksgiving's around the corner. They talk about cutting back on SNAP benefits, and we still talking this way. Still talking crazy. Playing in our faces. Where's Garrett at? He's out here using his passport. I hated not being brought up in a nuclear family. I'm thankful for my grandma, though. Yeah. Listen, it's important. Brother Darkness, welcome. Black women have become the mediocre white men they hate and love. Yeah, it's probably true. He's probably in dance class. All right, let's go with this.
And 30% of black women will be married to white men. So that's 75% of us.
Listen, 30% of what I don't know. I think that's too high of a number. I know that they're very optimistic about that. I don't know if that's true though. But this is the predictions. I think if white men wanted to marry you, you would have married you a long time ago. And I guess the idea is in the future there'll be less racist. Could be. I don't know. I'll play it again though.
Married within 2 generations, 45% of the black men who will be married, of the 10%, will be married to white women, and 30% of black women will be married to white men. So that's
30% of the 10%. So the people who will be married, that shows you a crazy separation. If these predictions hold true, 10% marital rate of black people, 10% will be married. 45% of black men will be married to white women. He's saying white. I don't know if there's predictions for Asians or in Hispanics in there as well. I don't know. And then 30% of black women will be married to white men. So 45 and 30 is 75%. So you got a 10% marital rate. And of that 10%, 75% will not be married to other black people. That is crazy how much we are becoming divided. That is crazy. I grew up around white folks and had them in my family, and they don't want us. Listen, if they wanted us, they would have had us. And that, I give a lot of credit to people, and I'm sure we all have these different type of stories, but I grew up with, again, I graduated in the early 90s from high school. I can remember different ladies or girls who I'd gone to school with, and they were, biracial, and they would tell us stories about, the white side of their family didn't want them at different functions. So I can imagine, you know, fast forward, we're in the 50s now, right? So I'm still hearing those types of stories. It's less, but just, you know, how this person treated them funny, or we don't want this certain uncle at this family reunion, or we don't go to that side of the family. It's still there. It's still there. And we can see that now. You know, you see it online. Anybody who I always said, you know, when they said when they used to say the racism is dead and racism is gone and this, that, and the other, I used to think in my mind that they have never played Call of Duty online. I'm telling you, if you play video games online, particularly Call of Duty or even now Battlefield 6 or any of those types of games, the N-word is flying left and right amongst kids, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. I don't know what they're talking about. And these people, you know, these people are walking around the stores, entering jobs, becoming police officers, becoming nurses, doctors. You don't know what these people do offline. You don't know what they do offline. So that's just one place. So I can only imagine what goes on in some families, right? And that would always be that would have been a serious problem for me if I would have taken my kids. My kids are all 100% black. And if I would have taken them to a family function and someone else of another race was talking to them crazy, and that goes for any race. I'm not, you know, I have no problem dating out of my race as an adult with no kids, but that would have been a problem for me. That would have been a problem for me if some, you know, Uncle Joe is playing favorites or treating them differently, or that would have been a problem. It would have been a problem. I don't know how other folks deal with that. I know it's a thing. I know it's there. I know it's out there, but it's a problem. It's a problem for me. I mean, date who you want, love who you want, but you got to be concerned about the health and the mental health of your children. And you know, I'm just not optimistic about that. It could be me. Could be me. I'm sorry to hear that my father died when I was 9 months old. I could never imagine having kids, not being married, and not being with my kids. I've always had white men try to holler, and it's always been a resounding no. Listen, we know that you know, there's a lot of ladies who are looking for that, who are looking for the come up from the status that a white man can give you, and I'm quite sure that they will definitely, you know, want to fulfill their fetishes on you, with you, on you. But if they wanted, the truth of the matter is, if white men in mass wanted to marry you, they would have done it already. They would have done it. I don't know why ladies sometimes are confused about that. I saw the Klan march down the streets with a mask, or when I was young. They don't wear them now. Yeah, a lot of them are running around with masks on and ICE uniforms. I've always dated black. Since black women are such a huge colorist, it's going to be interesting seeing them get with white men and giving birth and interacting with the same light-skinned females they can't stand. Somebody sent me a video. I think it was Jen, if she's still here. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know if you guys want to do that after this, but about colorism. She sent me a video about that. Let's see. Y'all hit the like button.
75% of us that will be in mixed race couples. And let me say this, brothers and sisters, and still be loved. In 2 generations, you won't know who to call a nigga. We have work to do. And it's on us. No one's going to fix this.
We'll all be N-words. We'll all be N-words. And that's what they're afraid of, a lot of them. Those people. they're afraid of that.
Still be loved. In 2 generations, you won't know who to call a nigga. We have work to do. And it's on us. No one's going to fix this but us. If, in fact, we believe it's important. And I believe, yes, it is important. It is biblical. It's not just something Dr. Fraser has been espousing for the last 3 years. And I'm glad that I've done it, because that's much of the talk on social media. And that's, you know, where we get our news, and that's what we're addicted to. That's a whole nother story. So I'm happy that I have some help.
I've spoken to numerous people. I've heard all the different perspectives and angles when it comes to marriage, but there's an aspect I don't hear people speak about that much. Collectively, as a society here in America, we've transitioned into a commitment-less society. Like, people aren't committed to anything. People aren't committed to themselves. And I think one of the biggest issues in regards to marriage right now is that if you've never practiced commitment, if you never practice commitment within yourself, how can you be committed to another?
That's important. And but there have been many things that have assisted this lack of commitment. One of the big culprits, as I'm sure most people know, is feminism.
Mm.
I don't need no man. We certainly taught that. I'm from a family of 11, and certainly with sisters, and certainly parents taught our children, you better make sure that you get a good education and not depend on a black male, and be independent, just in case you can't find that man, because black men, of course, have been under attack for several generations. So,
and that's the key part that I really, really want our ladies to really understand. It's not that the black man was inherently lazy and all this other nonsensical garbage that has been brought on, but the reason that our women had to become more assertive when it comes to education and in ensuring that their own survival didn't rest in the hands of black men is because we have been under attack. Now we have done so much work. We're no longer under attack as much. I would maintain that once ICE finishes with their raids and all this kind of stuff, they're going to turn their attention back to us. No doubt about that, because they built all these prisons and all this kind of stuff. They're going to want somebody to do it. You kicked all these different people out. Here's my prediction. You kicked all these people out who used to pick the vegetables, this, and the other. It'll be another go around of convict leasing, if you will. They're going to put people back in chains, get arrested, and now you got to go pick vegetables and do all the other type of work that all the migrants used to do. That's what I think. I hope I'm wrong about that, but that's what I think. So once they get them all out, it'll be us. There's always has to be an underclass that is doing the manual menial labor. That's the way capitalism is. Somebody has to be on the bottom rung of that. For years and centuries, it was black folks through slavery, then through Jim Crow. And we really didn't get out of Jim Crow, until that debt peonage type of system until the 1940s, until World War II, when they needed us. That's when we got out, really. And we weren't going back. So they had to, in the 1960s, get somebody else. Now, yes, there was farm equipment and improvements in technology that helped to alleviate the need for us in those different types of environments. But next thing you know, we had to clean white folks' houses. We didn't want to do that anymore. And these people who get here, those migrants who come here from different countries, they're cleaning people's houses and doing the menial labors. Now, there's a second generation. Those that get here, they come here with construction skills and they want to open up businesses, and they don't want their children doing that. They're going to send their children to college and all that. So there always has to be somebody on the bottom rung. Always has to be somebody on the bottom rung. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
So that mindset as be independent, just in case you can't find that man, because black men, of course, have been under attack for several generations. So that mindset has put women in a different frame, and they have become, let me say it again in Sylvie Love, when you look at the meta issue of this phenomenon that we're talking about, our women have become more masculine and our men have become more feminine. So we have a real cultural confusion. And, for years was I am woman, hear me roar. Oh, that's interesting. What roars in the jungle? A lion. But it's not the female lion. It's the male lion. All there. So there has to be a shift in the importance of how we were created by God. And the spiritual hierarchy of God is God, man, woman, child.
Brothers George, they don't want to hear that. We talk about men leaving the church, right? These ladies don't want to hear that. They want to be co-equal. They want to be above you. They want to be above you. They want to be this and that.
That's the spiritual hierarchy. And women are of men. In fact, it's probably the only mistake that God said of himself in Genesis, that fundamentally he made a mistake, and that man needed a partner. He grabbed Adam's ribs and he created woman. So there now is somewhat of a reversal of roles. This is out of spiritual order, and it's going to lead to nothing but disaster. And the lack of respect that men get in our culture in terms of fulfilling their role, not all, just too many. And maybe I'm just old school, that I chose to be married to the same sister for 52 years because we understood the role of a wife to nurture, to cheer on, to motivate, to take care of the family. And the role of the man was to provide and protect by all means or any means necessary. And her role was to make sure that he was in the mindset to do his work, which brings me to.
So that's the end of that there. So you got to go over there and finish out the rest of that over there. So that's, I thought that was extremely, extremely interesting. I appreciated his point of view, his perspective. Yeah, some comments here to get to him here. Brother Darkness, in the next 4 years, I predict only 15% of Black women will be married. Well, your prediction is a little bit more positive than Dr. Fraser's. He had it at 10%. Will be married. Only 40% of Black men will be married. But a lot of those women will be of different races. He's predicting something as well about that. My nephews are honor roll preteens. I told my brother that I worry about what this world is going to look like when they're old enough to start dating and looking for wives. Oh, listen, that's cooked. That's cooked. That is, listen, it's cooked. And I had another video I was going to play talking about this in Gen Z, what's going on with Gen Z. I can play if y'all want. Y'all hit the one button if y'all want to stick around for that. I was going to play in another video, but I can play it tonight. But it's Gen Z is cooked too, and they're recognizing it. This phenomenon that's going on, they're recognizing it amongst the white culture, and they're having problems and issue with it. And again, a lot of their what they're doing is lashing out. I also believe women will be committing and convicting of SA at alarming rates. Okay, why do you think that? Why do you think that women will be committing convicted of SA at alarming rates? That I got to hear, because I can't imagine them getting convicted of it. The only way that they would get convicted of it is if they are in positions of power, high school teachers, etc. They might be doing it. And matter of fact, they are doing it, right? There's been an epidemic about that, about a lot of women sleeping with their students. So if they're not married, sleeping in their 25 years old, dealing with high school students who are 18, there's going to be a lot of that going on. That's probably true. Yeah. There it is. God first, then man. 52 years is a long time. When men may have to go back to the church like they are in a club, just can't pop bottles. Ray Alexander. Since random dating can be expensive, maybe more people should consider hiring a professional matchmaker to help vet prospects and define mate with core compatibilities. Let me show you what matchmakers are going through these days. I did a video about this, and it's going to release in a couple of days, but I'll show you. I'll give you guys a preview since you guys are so nice. Let's go through what women are asking for in the dating market here. Wait a minute. Where does this come from? I got to remember where I found this at. I think it's on YouTube, actually. Show you what these matchmakers are going through on dating markets. Is it here? Is it here? Or is it on? This might be. This might be. All right, this has got to be on Instagram. Did I save this? Oh, wait a minute now. Hold on. Where is this at? No, Anita sent this to me. I guess I can't find it. Well, I apologize for that. Did I send? Oh, wait a minute. Who sent this to me? Somebody sent me this and I can't find it. I can't find it. I apologize. Anyway, was it on Anita's page? I'm looking at it right now. Let me go to her page. It may be. I thought she sent it to me. She's constantly. Oh, yeah, it is on her page. Yep, you're right. All right, hold on here. I'm looking for a video about what the dating market, what these dating coaches are dealing with, and the delulu that's going on here. I found it. It's on Anita's page, so I'm going to pull it up right now. Thank you guys so much for your patience here. Let's see. Instagram. Here we go.
Becoming manager or managing director of your life.
At the level that I perform at.
So one of the things that you mentioned was that you were looking forward to, and correct me if I'm wrong, becoming manager or managing director of your law firm. And right now, from what I'm aware through the person that gifted this to you, you are lead receptionist.
Yes. And it's not chasing a dream. There's a lot of boxes that need to be ticked. I know this man is out there. And it's just a matter of finding him. 7-figure salary.
Right.
Already said morning routine.
Yes.
That includes some sort of exercise with group accountability, as well as some sort of very high nutrition, I'm going to say smoothie. At least 5'10". I feel like that's generous. I need him to be obviously in very good shape. I need him to have a full head of hair. That's very important to me.
Okay.
Be a Christian, but not take it too seriously. Like, I don't want to have to go to church every Sunday, but I don't want to get into fights over religion either.
Sure, of course.
I want him to have an impeccable wardrobe. I want his suits to be tailored. I want him to look good in greens and blues because those are complementary to what I look good in. Absolutely no jewelry.
Okay.
Absolutely no tattoos.
Okay.
Never been married. No kids. I want to be his first wife. Our children are going to be his only children.
Mm-hmm.
No allergies. Has to like animals. I would prefer that he's a cat person, but if he's a dog person, that's okay. I think that's it.
Yeah.
How soon can you find the man that satisfies this checklist to perform at the level that I perform at?
How soon can you find this man? That was an edited version, because the other version I saw, she said, I wanted, he can have no tattoos unless he was in an Ivy League and that he had to do it as part of a ritual to be whatever Ivy League school he went to. So she was willing to bend on that one. But this is the delusion that's going on out here with these ladies, and what they're saying. And so if we think that these matchmakers are going to be some type of beneficial to these ladies and bringing people together and calming down this foolishness that's going, they're probably they're the issue, not them themselves, but the issue isn't them. It's the issue is the ladies a lot of times with these crazy standards. And I was reading something, I think if you read through that one, I was reading through one of the comments. I saw two different videos, but one of the videos I was watching was, men look to qualify a woman when they're dating. Here's what she has. Women are looking to disqualify a guy. That's what the people are saying in the comment section. So this is the things that people are dealing with. So how do you break through that? How do you break through that? And you can't, I don't know how you break through this level of delusion. The only way that I think you can break through this level of delusion is if you have to do a whole factory reset of the whole economy and society and all that. And nobody wants that to happen. I don't want that to happen. But how do you break these women down from that? And then what she wants this guy to come into her life, never asking the question, okay, you got this guy, 7-figure guy, 5'10", wears tailored suits, blues and greens, no tattoos, this, that, and the other, and all this different type of stuff, right? All these different parameters that she had. What does he get with you? What does that man want? Why should he go for you amongst all the other women out here in the world? Why should he pick you and only you? They never ever asked that. They never asked that question. They never asked that question. You hit the one there. If somebody else had got it too, I appreciate that though, Jen. Men really preaching or teaching have men in the church. Very few, however, do they exist. I watch X Ministries of Pastor Wooden. I never heard of Pastor Wooden. Don't say that. Oh, they're wonderful young men. I'm not able to see the current chats. Can you still not see the chats? I doubt it, because one thing black women have a problem is doing M6 women they don't like. It wasn't in this page. I found that. Essay, not great, Dr. L. Femininity is a thing. Okay. Well, I think legally it's the same thing, but I guess it depends. I don't want to get into minutia of that, but I think legally they're both the same thing. If you're thinking of the one I'm thinking of, yeah, it was crazy. She just texted me too. Anita did, but I didn't ask her what she was doing. She was bananas. Yeah, they're all listen, this is part. If you watch the other video that I did about the ladies crashing out, this is what they're doing. They're crashing out. This to me is the mental illness that we're talking about. Watch it. I think that was a great. I personally liked that video I did the other day, but I mean, not that I did it, but I was reacting to this lady, the psychiatrist, because this is crashing out. That is the form of them crashing out in this mental illness that's going on here. I'm totally convinced about that. These standards are through the roof. It's not healthy. It's not well. It's not real. They really think that they're here. They really think that they're here when they're down here. I mean, that woman, we didn't see her body, but her face is average to below average. She's a 4 4.5, 5-ish. I mean, we don't know what her body looks like, but she really thinks that she deserves that top tier man. And a guy who really would be on her level would make a great husband, who himself is a 5, who's 5'9", and who doesn't look good in blues and greens. Maybe he does have a divorce behind him, or maybe he does have a kid. She's not even going to give that guy a chance. She's beyond the Lulu. And in the matchmaker there was doing everything she could not to laugh. Doing everything she could not to laugh. Crazy. Even her voice is grating. She's even gonna tell that man what he can have for breakfast. Of course. Well, he's probably gonna have to make the breakfast. He's gonna have to make the breakfast. I want to stop tanning. Why does this woman have shrimp from the Three Stooges? I haven't seen that in a long time, man. Three Stooges, man. I wonder what she would think if I told her her standards. She don't want to hear that. She thinks she is the standard. She thinks she is the. I got a couple of videos. I don't want to play them tonight, but I got other videos addressing this type of stuff. Right? These people, this is what they think. This is what they think. It's gonna be a cold winter. She got to be trolling. I hope so. Red Pill Sleeper Sub was good. She's gonna be very disappointed. She's gonna be very alone. That's what she's gonna be. She's gonna be very alone. She's gonna be very alone. How soon can you find this man? How about 2020, 25, 25? If mankind is still alive. How soon can you find this man? She's in a hurry. You were on the clock. I couldn't imagine sitting there having to keep a straight face doing that. I couldn't imagine sitting there keeping a straight face while this woman is telling me she wants this blues and greens. He's got to be a cat man. He's got to be 5'10". He's got a, what else did she say? She didn't say color preference. At least I don't remember hearing that. Race preference, which was good. She might be open to brothers or Hispanic dudes or whatever. I don't know. Gotta have a gym routine, morning routine. Oh, you gotta eat you gotta drink a smoothie. I mean, it was very specific. She thought about this. Oh my God. I watched that about like 3 times in a row this morning. I can't believe this. I couldn't believe it. And that was an edited version. She mentioned about he can have a tattoo if the guy was from an Ivy League school. Crazy. Oh, and she said she can't wear any jewelry. Yeah, no jewelry, which was weird, right? You can't wear gold chains and stuff. She must come from her hairstyle and very I don't want to say old fashioned, but Little House on the Prairie look from her neck down. She probably comes from a very strict religious type of environment where they can't wear jewelry. That's what I would imagine. She had on a necklace. Yeah. Let's see. It's good, Chance Rogers. Shemp, sorry about the typo. Can't stop laughing. Yeah. Boogie in the building. Yes, sir. That couldn't have been real. I'm telling you. Let's watch it again. Let's watch it again. This is just constant entertainment here. Let's see. Here we go. Here, we'll watch it again.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Becoming manager or managing director of your law firm. And right now, from what I'm aware, through the person that gifted this to you, you are lead receptionist.
Yes. And it's not chasing a dream. There's a lot of boxes that need to be ticked. I know this man is out there. And it's just a matter of finding him. 7-figure salary.
Right.
Already said morning routine.
Yes.
That includes some sort of exercise with group accountability, as well as some sort of very high nutrition, I'm going to say smoothie. At least 5'10". I feel like that's generous. I need him to be obviously in very good shape.
Obvious. It's obvious.
I need him to have a full head of hair.
Oh, nothing but nothing
That's
but
very important to me.
very important.
Okay.
Be a Christian, but not take it too seriously.
Oh my God.
Like, I don't want to have to go to church every Sunday, but I don't want to get into fights over religion either.
Sure, of course.
I want him to have an impeccable wardrobe.
Impeccable.
I want his suits to be tailored.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to look good in greens and blues because those are complementary to what I look good in. Absolutely no jewelry.
Okay.
Absolutely no tattoos.
Okay. Okay.
Never been married. No kids. I want to be his first wife. Our children are going to be his only children.
Mm-hmm.
No allergies. Has to like animals. I would prefer that he's a cat person, but if he's a dog person, that's okay. I think that's it.
Yeah.
How soon can you find the man that satisfies this checklist to perform at the level that I perform at?
So,
Oh my God. Listen, you can't have any allergies because she don't want to walk around with an EpiPen. she don't want you. She want to be able to eat her peanut butter and jelly sandwiches without you going into anaphylactic shock. So, I and notice what she said. I want this. I want that. I want this. I want that. Not I bring this to the table. Here's what I'm going to do for him. And I wonder too if the matchmaker would even think to ask those type of questions. Okay, here's the list of things that you laid off. What is it where's the list of what you're going to bring to this man? Where's that list at? Where's the list of why he should choose you over the 4 billion other women on the planet? Let's just call it 3 billion, 18 and up. Other 3 billion women on the planet. Why should he choose you out of all these different people? Although some people may not know how to effectively utilize a professional matchmaker, the objective of a matchmaker is to vet prospects and find a prospective mate with core compatibilities. Well, she certainly didn't know how to use one in that particular sense. I think she was wearing a straitjacket. Oh my God. Oh my God. Dr. Thunder was good. The matchmaker went to laugh. Oh my God. I watched it like 3 times this morning. I'm like, this can't be real. She's a strong 3. She's a strong 3. A 4 thinks is 11. It is crashing out, Dr. Thunder. These ladies are crashing out. This is the crash out mentally. They're crashing out. I absolutely believe that. Absolutely believe that. 100% believe that. Another objective of professional matchmaker is to counsel and to help suitors to have goals that are realistic and within range of mate that they could attract and keep. Somebody got to tell her that. Somebody got to tell her that. Somebody got to tell her that. Oh man, she's great. Yeah. They're just. Oh man, that was my laugh of the day. Yeah, she looks like a. She definitely not the Church of Jesus Christ Mormons, but she looks like one of those Texas Mormons. She looks like one of those Texas Mormons or one of those more modern Mennonites. I don't even know if there are more modern Mennonites. I don't know. But she looks, I don't know. Yeah. She looks like she just escaped from a Mormon compound. Does he have to like you? Doc, where you at? Are you home or you want to come up? I'll invite you up if you want to come up. Let me know. She looks like she escaped from a Mormon compound. Does he have to like you? She don't care nothing about that. I waited to hear one day a woman to say to her husband has been able to read the Bible in Braille so we can read to blind children in Honduras. Yeah, you've been waiting a long time for that one. She wanted to laugh so hard. She did want to laugh. You can't even breathe. You know she's a know-it-all. Oh yeah, yeah. Here's the routine. Here's this. You know everything's regimented. You know, missionary only. What men's wardrobe is going to complement a Walnut Grove ensemble? She said hers are. She looks good in blues and greens, but she had a pink on. Therapist is like, wow. What if she doesn't like blues and greens? Well, you better like them. Well, then that's not the man for you. It's not the man for her. Or you got to get to like him. I think he can have allergies because she said he needs to like animals. It could have been all that. It could have been all that. Who knows? Who knows why? Tom Hanks and bosom buddies. No seasonal allergies, right? She don't want to be dealing with hay fever. No peanut allergies. You know, no allergic to different fabrics, no dogs, no cats. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, brother, I'm gonna invite you up here. Let's see here. Invite guest. This is for Dr. Thunder. She said cats were okay. She is crazy. We'll do this since Dr. Thunder's coming up. We'll do a what's good, Doc? Because she's still getting set up. I wanted to
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay. I'm gonna let's see. We'll do a show about colorism. We'll flow into colorism. Somebody sent me this, so I'm meaning to get to it here. Let's see here. Somebody sent me a pretty good video about colorism, so I wanted to. We'll try to do that one here if it's in my history. Yeah, okay, here we go. Still talking about women. Excuse me, still talking about the war between men and women and what the problem is with that. The new color room looks nice. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you for
that.
that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. A lot of people said they like it. So how can we beat this system? What's going on here? When and if we can't seem to like each other because of our color. Is she going to buy his clothes she wants when to have an impeccable wardrobe? It's got to be tailored too. She got to be able to sew, right? And I guess there's nothing really wrong with having those types of desires, but when you exclude men and say these are deal breakers, these are non-negotiables. I think that everybody wants a guy whose suit looks nice on him. I gotta mute you there. It's coming through double right now. So I think that's. I don't think that anybody has a problem with that. I think the problem comes in that when these are deal breakers. Nothing else. He's got allergies. What if the guy likes iguanas and doesn't like dogs or cats? What if he does have a peanut allergy? What if he does have seasonal allergies? In the springtime. Is that why should that, I mean, it just gets to be crazy, and I totally think that that is the crashing out that we're dealing with here. So y'all make sure you hit the like button here. I want to get this on the screen here. Share screen.
Should be good. Should be good now.
All right, let's see here.
To take care of, but I think there's one thing that I
All right, so this was sent to me, but before we get to that, Dr. Thunder's in the building. What's up? How you doing, brother? Appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Yep.
All right, great. Yeah. Yeah, this is crazy. I saw when you ran this video the other day. I don't know if it was yesterday or when it was, but yeah, the list of stuffs is really ridiculous. And you'd think that due to many of the challenges that folks are having finding somebody, that they would get the clue and stop being so ridiculous. But it's like a double down. It's like let me just ignore what's going on and let me just double and triple down on it. See the reason that I couldn't find nobody is because I wasn't picky enough. It's like that. It's like, no, that ain't it. That's not why.
It's wild, and like you said, they're doubling down. Like, yeah, no, I'm gonna, and somebody's got to be in her ear saying, oh, this guy's a nice guy, and maybe you're standing too high, and maybe you ought to, date this guy over here. But no, she's like, no, this is what I want. This is what I want. So, yeah. So let's take a look at this dark skin dating and desirability. I know this is a common trope among Black women that they're talking about this. So somebody sent this to me, so I'm going to play a little bit of it here and get your thoughts and opinions about this stuff. Let's do this one here. No, that's not the one I want. This one. All right, so this one is called Dark Skin and Dating Desirability, Knotted Podcast. So let's play. I hate when they do this commercials in the front here, right? Or what's coming up. Let's just get to it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Knotted.
Tying vibes to values.
This is going to be one heck of a conversation. Today's episode is called Colorism in Love.
Yeah.
I am very uncomfortable talking about this topic. Yay. But I think that it is
a necessary conversation.
I think it's a necessary conversation as two chocolatey married individuals. But especially for myself as a dark-skinned Black woman, I have experienced colorism at massive levels, but specifically through the internet. And I can't help but feel like we need to have a conversation about what it feels like to be a dark-skinned woman in the dating space, looking for love, while also feeling very beat down by the world, constantly telling you that you're not desired.
Mm-hmm.
And how you combat that narrative and how to be able to really drive and determine your own reality.
Absolutely.
Now take a look at her. She is saying she's a dark-skinned woman. Either she's got the brightest lights in the world, but she looks more brown-skinned to me. But she's got a lot of makeup on, and she's got these hair extensions. We've gone through that a number of times here, but what are your thoughts so far, Dr. Thunder?
Yeah, notwithstanding the additions that productive, the folks that would be good options for her, they're saying over and over, stop doing the fake stuff. We don't need to cake up. We don't need the extra hair, all of that. Be happy with what God gave you. You know, you can maximize what God gave you, try to be in shape, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But it's obvious to me that somebody that looks as as attractive as she is, from what I can tell, she seems like she's fit. She seems like she can carry on a conversation. So you know, she's not a dingbat, and she's attractive, very attractive. So that being the case, I just think it ain't your color. I'm sorry. It's not, it ain't your color. You know, this conversation always makes me think about Naomi Campbell. Okay. Naomi Campbell, darker than her, beautiful, fit. You know, I remember, you know, the Michael Jackson video. What was it? Was it In the Closet? And ain't nobody rejecting her based on her skin color. That's hogwash. It's something else. It is some other issue. Now, but the thing is that the folks that keep this colorism stuff going, it's not men. I mean, it's not, men that are worth anything,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't men. I've never rejected a woman based on skin tone. That's never, ever, ever, ever been the case. It's always been based on, like, what's wrong, maybe she has an attitude issue. Maybe she, is one of these women that has ridiculous standards. Maybe she's one of these women that, you can't say anything critical at all about Black women, or that means that you hate Black women and all this kind of stuff. Maybe she's like this. Maybe she's hyper political. Maybe she has she leads with, I ain't going to deal with no ninja that, doesn't agree with me on every issue associated with politics and blah, blah, blah. Maybe she's like a heavy pro-choice. Like, hey, I can't even deal with somebody that's not pro-choice. But, I mean, there could be other things that are limiting, that are creating whatever bad outcomes that she's having. But I think she's taking those things and she's channeling it through the colorism lens, because that probably is, it probably is something that helps her to not have to, face herself in the mirror to figure out what actually is the problem. The colorism thing is, I just think it's just a hogwash topic. It's completely hogwash. It doesn't have anything to do with if a woman that is attractive as her can get somebody or not. It's got to be something else.
I agree. LaSalle Reaction says, I've noticed a lot of Black women are frustrated because they're not white women. Whether it's protection or admiration, they constantly compare and contrast themselves to white women. I think that that is true. I think that is so true. This woman is beautiful, and she would be beautiful if we could see her 4C hair. I mean, I just don't understand why we can't get this through to our ladies, as Dr. Thunder just mentioned there. Sometimes they just don't listen. Yeah. All right, let's play a little bit more of this.
So I'm going to say something about what happened when you and I got together. You are quite an attractive man.
Oh, thank you, man.
You're not only attractive, you're educated, and I believe you would fall under the category of a high value man. I know we hate that word. I know we hate, like,
you said it.
I know. I just know when we think of high value man, it's just like, it's such an overused concept.
Well, only because people are maybe not using it the right way or using it in a very shallow way. Where it exists, but you emphasis on the values.
Right. When I think of a high value man, it's not just attached to his finances, it's also attached to his
character.
Does he have high moral character? That's how I see it. And you not only are a very financially stable and financially well-off person, you have a high moral character. And that to me is what makes you high value, right? We had some experiences when not only when you and I got together,
Mhm.
everything was fine when you and I got together
Mhm.
and we were posting about ourselves.
Mhm.
It was when you proposed that we had some experiences.
Mm.
And there was one specific incident that really shifted my outlook on what it would be like to not only be an engaged, dark-skinned woman to a very high-value man, but to eventually become a married dark-skinned woman to a high-value man. We had an
can I
incident
break in here?
where
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I didn't realize that she was with this guy. She is kind of sitting pretty close to him, kind of cozy to him. Maybe not to be with him. But you know, uh, something that I don't understand. Well, I maybe I understand it, but it's not worth it. Is it just seems like a lot of black women, they'll be in a relationship, but they still have to carry this allegiance to the sisterhood into the relationship. And it's like, look, why do you care about that? You're married or you're engaged or you're with your guy. Why does that matter? Um, and it's counterproductive. And it, I know you've seen these videos about these women being embarrassed of having a boyfriend, and basically they're embarrassed of having a boyfriend because they feel like they can't get online and basically trash men and talk about how men ain't ish and blah blah blah. They can't go hard in the paint anymore, you know. And then if they do what should be pretty native and natural for a woman, which is to be proud of your boyfriend, be proud of your relationship, to be showing, you know, your relationship, you know, prominently. Then it's like other women, so now it's turned into, now it's like braggadocio because you are just proud of your relationship, you know. And I just that whole bringing all of this goofy stuff into you know, this goofy stuff into the relationship, just, it's like, who are you loyal to? Are you loyal to your dude, or are you loyal to the sisterhood? Because it's obvious to me now that those aren't two things that can happen. You can't do both. You have to either, one of them, one or the other has to be the priority. Okay, if you're in a relationship and your dude is not, you know, as a woman, if you're in a relationship and your dude is not absolutely number one over whatever sisterhood, whatever virtue signaling, whatever, you know, railing against the patriarchy, whatever it is, if it's not more important than that, then you should just stay single. You know, because a guy, especially the kind of guy that these women want, deserves a lot better treatment than that, than to just be some, you know, well, men actually suck. I got lucky. I found one that was all right. But you know, 99% of y'all are, you know, are dogs, you know. So it's just like, I don't know, man. That is crazy.
We haven't heard yet about her difficulty. Now she's saying this is a high value man, and she's got one. So I'm waiting to hear the difficulty of her high school, college, her on the dating scene, and you know, and her job. That's what I'm looking to hear.
I bet the difficulty is going to be people commented on her pictures and said that she was dark skinned or she was too dark or some goofy stuff like this. And you know, and now I don't know how many guys would be doing that. Maybe some guys would do that. That just seems like a real strange thing, especially for a woman as attractive as she is, to like take issue with that. So these comments, they have to have come from women. If that is the case, that she's going to be belly aching over over comments that people made about her pictures, posting pictures of their engagement. Okay. it's got to be women that made those comments. What dudes are going to be getting on here telling the woman, oh, hey, brother, you need to get a light-skinned girl. Why couldn't you get you a light-skinned? What? I can't even imagine that. This is crazy.
Yeah. Let's keep going here.
There was a group of women that I was acquaintanced with, and those women and their reaction to our engagement looked very different than the reaction to the engagement of my other acquaintance counterparts that were of lighter hue than myself.
Mm.
And it was not only heartbreaking, but it was a real reality for me that there is a difference sometimes in reaction when a dark-skinned woman is being loved versus when a woman of a lighter hue is being loved. It feels to me, from what I have observed, that there has to be some sort of additional reason why a chocolate woman would be loved in the way that she's being loved. I'll give you an example. Olandria. We love Olandria. I am a Olandria stan. I'm a Nick Olandria fan. I have always been obsessed with her. And when Nick shows her love, everyone's just like, I don't think he really likes her. I don't think, well, maybe. Is it because it can't just be that he simply loves her,
Attracted to her.
is attracted to her. There has to be some other reason as to why she's being loved the way that she's being loved.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Can
opened
I
up
say
a
something now?
conversation.
You got it. Go ahead.
Look, man. So first of all, I was right. I haven't seen this video. So it is women that are making the comments. Okay. The second thing is, which is totally delusional on her part, every woman by a man of substance, you can't just be pretty. You have to do other stuff. You have to have other things that you're doing that are bringing some sort of value to the guy. Otherwise, why is he going to deal with you? Okay, so she is like, well, it's, if you're a dark-skinned woman, then it's like you have to, there's got to be another reason why the guy, is loving you, or yeah, there is another reason. There does have to be another reason. Now, in my estimation with her, it wouldn't take very much to know what those reasons are, because yeah, she's dark skinned, she's attractive, she's fit. I mean, she's got a mind. I mean, she can talk, in complete sentences. Seems like she has some ideas about some things, you know. It would be interesting to have a dialogue with her. It seems like she's also willing to be publicly say positive and flattering things about her guy, which a lot of black women struggle with that. They don't want to say that their dude is this kind of positive and is this kind of dad and he's this kind of husband and he's high value and they wouldn't want to do that. So, like, even without listening very far, I can tell why he would want to deal with her. I don't know anything else yet, but I can tell. She's attractive. She's got all these other things going on for her. So it's always going to be whatever it is, whatever you look like, plus something. It's always going to be that. Otherwise, it's not going to last. If it's just about your physical look, then he can find a bunch of women that have that physical look. So it has to be, what can she do that other women can't do? I know with my wife is now, she's saying that she's dark complected. My wife is actually dark complected. Okay, she's a good 2 shades darker than this one. She's very dark complected. And my first wife was she was an exotical. she was mixed. So she was on the lighter side, right? And I've dated women that were, as dark as my current wife, lighter than my ex-wife, a sort of spectrum of skin tones. That never had anything to do with if it was going to work out or not. I don't give a crap about that. I mean, now people could have a particular preference. I think that there are advantages, significant advantages to being darker complected. Significant advantages, right? The sun doesn't beat your skin up as much. You can look younger for longer, right? By being dark complected. But my wife is, fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive. And when we met, she had no kids, right? So, there's a list of things. And we met at church. Okay, and she was serious about it. And she was prior. She was what was it? She was celibate for 7 years. Celibate for 7 years prior to me.
Oh wow.
You see what I'm
Wow.
saying? So this but you see what I'm saying? So the skin color, that's nothing. That's the small stuff. That's the easy stuff. These other qualities, that's the stuff that actually matters. And unfortunately, there's no attention given to those to that, and only attention given to all of this really superficial, goofy stuff, which they can use as some sort of a scapegoat, or some camouflage or something for actually having to address whatever issue that they have, or address whatever issue generally that the sisterhood has with it.
Millie the Mermaid has said, is the term high value only related to external factors? Let me get your opinion or definition of high value. We talked about it probably a little bit before you jumped on, because we related this what Dr. Fraser was talking about, and he mentioned Kevin Samuels and how he agreed with Kevin Samuels. We know what Kevin Samuels said about it, but what's your thoughts about a high value man? What does that mean to you?
So just like Kevin said, I mean, he didn't invent the idea of high value. What he did is he looked across sort of generations of men that had made significant contributions to society, and he noticed a few things that were in common. And there's actually six. There was actually six things. Money is part of it, and it's sort of the price of admission is the money, but it's also having a network of other high value men. It's being useful to the group. You can't, I mean, he would frequently say that you can't be a high value loner. So in other words, you can't be somebody that is a basement dweller that does not interact with people and is hoarding money and be high value, because the purpose of resource is to be useful to the group. Right. That's the reason, is to be an asset to other folks, and for them to also see you as someone that has valuable contributions. That's primary. Also, you can't be a ninja selling shoes out of the trunk of your car, though hey, you make the income. Whatever the qualification, but it's, so he would say you needed to be LinkedIn sort of level kind of a job. So it needs to be a prestigious kind of position that would garner that kind of paycheck, consistent paycheck, and you need to be there for a period of time. Now there's another list of things, and I don't remember the complete list of things that he would talk about that were not listed in the high value conversation or in that list, but he referred to them frequently. And he was talking about how basically guys with good morals, with character, integrity. I mean, he had a list of other characteristics that he found to be very important. So a lot of people have just focused on the money. The money wasn't really what he was talking about. The money was just the price of admission. That was like That should have been like, okay, you know, okay, you paid the toll. All right, now we don't have to talk about that anymore. You know, but what people have done is all they do is talk about the money. And so people that are sort of naysayers, they'll say, oh, y'all think that just because you got money that you're high value, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. And frankly, folks that have money, they know the difference. People know the difference between people um, that are using their resources and capability for the sake of serving the community, for the sake of bettering other people's lives, creating structures that other people can eat on. That people know the difference between that and somebody, like I said, that's selling shoes out the they're on their hustle, they're on their grind. You hear a lot of people talk about being on their grind, but it's like, okay, you're on your grind, but how's that going to actually benefit anybody else? That's not high value. Hoarding up resources for yourself is not high value.
Got you. We'll play a little bit more of this. I just realized it's kind of late here, so we'll play a little bit more of this.
On threads on the internet about what Black women, but specifically dark-skinned Black women, feel and experience when they receive healthy love. It seems to me like there has to be a but attached to it. And that is what I experienced when we got engaged. There's always a but maybe she's, but maybe he's. And even from people that I thought were a part of a circle of individuals that loved and cared for one another. And I believe.
No, I'm just putting this out there. I don't know. Is this lady famous? Somebody asked that before. Is this lady famous? I don't know who these people are. So somebody asked, is this somebody before? So I don't know. Is this lady famous? Y'all let me know in the comments.
That there's a massive difference in the way in which the preference is expected to be loved, is expected to be poured into, is expected to be celebrated. And unfortunately, from my experience and what I've seen, when a dark-skinned woman is loved, there is just some sort of discourse in conversation.
Thank you for that, Rhonda. So she's a former Miss USA, talking about receiving love and attention as it's something that's rare, and there's something else added to it. Something that you.
I just have to say, man, I'm sorry, bro. I do not feel bad for no Miss USA. I'm sorry, bro. I don't feel bad for you. Oh my goodness gracious! You have been voted as objectively or as the most beautiful woman in the U.S. And that's still ain't enough. That still ain't enough, man. I can't do it. I can't take you seriously now. I'm done with this.
Woe is me. I was the most beautiful woman in the world at one time, but I can't get a man. I'm still not hearing her issue. I'm legit trying to understand her problem. I don't get it. We don't get it either, LaSalle. We don't get it either. Oh my God. High Vibe, what's going on? Based on Eurocentric standard at that. Oh my God. In Miss USA with Eurocentric standard is the norm. I got voted as Miss USA, but I'm still complaining. Come on now.
Attached to her experience.
All right, listen, I'm going to leave it up there. I'm kind of tired myself. I appreciate you coming up. Maybe we'll finish this off another time. But we got through the first 7 minutes of it. It's just unbelievable that this lady's complaining about that. Before I let you go, I know that you were you able to see what we did about George Fraser, his thoughts about Kevin Samuels? You were able to catch that? We played that earlier tonight. Were you able to catch that?
No. I'll go back and check it out. I'll go back and check it out. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. All right. So I do appreciate you coming up. You got a show in the morning, correct? You got to tell everybody what your show is.
This week is kind of is a little bit touch and go because I'm playing this musical all week. It's Some Like It Hot. And so I've got 8 shows. We rehearsed on Tuesday, was a 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. rehearsal, then 5:30 sound check and opening, and then open that night. That was the first and only rehearsal. That's just the way that these shows go. It's a Broadway show tour. And
Okay.
so they
Nice.
travel with a few musicians that tour with them, and then they pick up musicians in the locale. So and I get called for for most of these Broadway shows, these Broadway tours. And so it's like it opened on Tuesday, and then it's going to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 shows on Saturday, 2 shows on Sunday. I got a couple doctor's appointments and stuff that are kind of thrown in on my schedule. So I did a show this morning, which was a very interesting show. What was it? Tethered. It was a Tether Talk conspiracy edition, because I don't know if you saw that Myron Gaines interviewed Candace Owens.
I saw your thumbnail clip. I didn't know he did it, but I haven't checked it out yet. But I'm definitely going to check it out. I don't know if I can watch the full interview. I'd rather watch your breakdown than them. So.
Yeah. I mean, they bootstrap bro pathology. They they're heavy on that. Ninjas.
That's what I figured.
Ninjas don't want to work. Black on black crime. You know how they get down. So,
and she's not even a tether, is she? She grew up in Stamford, Connecticut, like right down the street from me, right? I think, right?
So here's the thing. I think that she is, in that I think her family, her lineage comes from like the Caribbeans or something. So she's not actually Eidos as far as it tracks, but her family's been in this country for generations. So and I use the tether term. I use the tether term kind of loosely. Sometimes it's just tongue in cheek and it's just funny. I'm not actually, literally calling somebody a tether. It's not like a pejorative. But in their case, especially Myron, they meet the definition. They're definitely have cozied up to the dominant society in using, talking points, weaponizing those talking points against Black people, in particular against Black men. Lazy, shiftless, you don't want to work, pull up harder on your bootstraps. How come African, immigrants can come here and do fine, but y'all ninjas still ain't got nothing. Y'all don't build nothing, you don't grow nothing, blah, blah, blah. All the usual stuff. Y'all are Black folks are red rumming 50% of people, and all of that, those goofy talking points. They use those talking points as a way to kiss the ring of the dominant society, to show the dominant society that they're trustworthy. That they'll whip them ninjas. They'll whip them ninjas for you. Kind of a thing. And but that being said, those two in particular, they do say a lot of stuff that I happen to agree with, especially in particular Candace. I'd say I agree with about 90% of what she says, but then she mixes in the tether talk. She mixes that in, and then of course then it gets, then I have to have issue with that. But anyhow, I did that this morning, and I did one on Monday. I'll probably have a show on Friday. Next week will be more of a normal week. So,
okay, all right, cool. Definitely check it out. Thank you so much for stopping up. I appreciate it. I'm getting a little sleepy, so.
All right, man. No. Let's talk for a lot longer, bro. No, you gotta stay up, man. All right, man.
All right, y'all. Take care. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show. Let me say thank you to Gregory Scotland, who's gave a lot. He said $10 at one point, $10 at another point, $10 another point, and the $20. I really, really appreciate you all. You guys can always hit me in the Cash App or Venmo if you want to buy me a sandwich or some smoothies or shakes or whatever. I do appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show tonight. I thought it was pretty good. We had a great conversation about George Fraser and what's going on here, and we'll finish this dark skinned stuff. Again, I gotta agree with you guys in the chat here. This lady is just capping. She's just making videos to make videos. What was me? And meanwhile, you Miss USA. So absolute nonsense. So thank you guys for riding with us tonight. Appreciate you guys. Take care. Have a good night. Much love and peace.